This one thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is darn simple and nobody is doing it, and I don't understand why. In fact, it's this one thing that multiple 8-figure brands use and leverage to actually get to multiple 8 figures, okay? Before I get further into the video, let me show you one quick thing. If you are a new viewer, my name is Brando. I work with 8-figure brands and 7-figure brands. This is just one of our own clients that we're currently managing and partnering with that did $136,000 just yesterday alone. I'm showing you this just so you understand the type of data and caliber of clients that we're typically used to dealing with. Now that we got the proof out of the way, let's dive deep into the frameworks. Once again, let's dive in. It's simple, but nobody does this. What are we talking about here? Before we, as you can see, there's a whole arrow that connects to the thing that I'm talking about. Before we get into that, I do want to touch base on one really important thing that I feel like sometimes we forget. The main root problem, in my opinion, based on my experience, is that we forget that we are selling to humans. And let me explain what I mean by that. Let me just read here. Everybody scales their e-commerce business, or most people I should say, forgetting that they're selling to real people. They look at their Shopify live dashboard, which looks something like this, right? Which you probably know, and see these blue dots, and subconsciously we think that they're just data points and they're just data. It's just data here and there. And so at the end of the day, we always need to remember that we are all humans. And this little dot over here is actually a 52-year-old Lisa who is tired of her flappy arms, right? Or a 40-year-old Nikki who feels insecure about her double chin, right? So we need to remember that whenever we have problems within our sales process, it's really important to remember that we're dealing with people, and the issue is, or the way that we have to solve the problem is easier than what you think, which is what I'm going to discuss about in this video. Now, let me also read one more thing. Sometimes we forget that we need to go back into the basics, right? As I say here, and actually give a shit about our customer, okay? How they feel, what they think, what they want, what triggers them to buy, what are their buying motivations, and what are their aspirations. Which brings me to the thing that nobody really does, which is basically the proven framework that 8+ figure brands use to scale over $100,000 per day. And it's the importance of scaling with a customer-centered sales process. That is the thing. Customer-centered sales process. I'm going to explain what I mean by that specifically in this video, right? And also make sure to stick until the end, because I'm going to go through some concepts, but they're not going to make any sense until you see the next one and the next one and the next one, because everything is tied up until the end of the video. Now, I'll tell you what this kind of framework is. That is customer-centered. That is basically the thing that I'm telling you that nobody does. Their sales process is not customer-centered, and they just focus on the product and they try to come up with an angle that hopefully resonates with the customer, right? And so we have to reverse engineer the process. And so this is how multiple 8-figure brands scale. They start with the customer. Okay, once they know what customer they're dealing with, they want to analyze their pain points, their insecurities, their languages, their desires. And by the way, stick into at least the next section, because I'm going to bring you through some real life examples. So I'm going to have an angle, a customer avatar, and bring you through exactly how I would structure the sales process based on what I'm seeing that is working in the market today. So pain points, insecurities, language, motivations, aspirations, desires, as I just said. Now, before we move to the next point, which is basically understanding angles, you need to leverage one main scale. And this is how 8-figure brands think, right? The scale is to leverage what you know about the customer to create a sales process that they resonate with. From advertorial page, landing page to offer. Okay, from ad to offer. Everybody kind of like has this universal way of thinking that the ad is not related to the landing page and the landing page is not related to the offer. Just think about it. Everything needs to be congruent. And so you need to have that scale to make this work in the first place. And then the way that these 8-figure brands are doing it, right, and the way that we're doing it as well, is that every single angle ideally has a specific landing page, product page, advertorial sales process that is congruent to the angle and that leads to the product and the offer. Okay, so this is very basic, but let me just bring you through some real life examples so you understand on a deeper level what I mean by this. So let's start with a real life example, the customer. Let's take the Lisa that is 52 years old. What I'm going to do here is go through the customer, understand it with you, and based on what I'm going through and analyzing the customer, I'm going to propose a sales process that is congruent to that customer, so that maybe you can use the same framework and infrastructure for your own business, or at least a way of thinking. Okay, the customer is Lisa, 52. The body type of this customer is thin build. Okay, so she's thin, she's athletic, concerned with her flappy arms. So we're targeting basically the bat wing angle. So women that are fit, that are like Lisa and 52, they go to the gym, they're very skinny, but they have flappy arms because they're getting to that age, right? Occupation, administrative assistant at a dental clinic. This could be anybody, but this is the occupation that we chose for this avatar. And she's married, she has 2 kids, and she's located in the United States. Okay, so this is the customer. Now, let's go over pain points, desires, aspirations, motivations, languages, insecurities. And by the way, if you don't know how to find these, I'm going to show you exactly how we do it. So you have just in a second in the next step. So you have a way to actually come up with these. They're not random ideas. They're studied principles. Okay, it's the reality of the customer, right? So what is the core pain point? I'm already skinny. I can't lose weight to fix this, and no matter what I try, these arms just stay soft and saggy. So this is the main core point. You see this emoji? They're desperate. This is what they're thinking, right? And so what are the Lisa's thoughts? Once again, I'm going to go through her thoughts, her aspirations, and then bring you through an ideal, congruent sales process, right? What are her thoughts? Her thoughts are, everybody tells me I'm lucky to be thin, but I hate my arms, okay? Another thought, it's not fat, it's skin, it's age, and nothing I do is working. I feel that like I've never run out of options. Is it surgery? Should I do surgery? I hope not. So these are some plays and some hooks that we can leverage because we know that the way that she is thinking, right? I wear long sleeves even in summer just to hide them. Like this is such a good hook. Are you wearing long sleeves in the summer just to hide your flappy arms? Like come on, this is a great hook. So we need to understand how they think, how she thinks. Her emotional world. What does it look like? She feels ignored by most fitness diet ads because they're all about fat loss. In fact, because of this, I'm going to propose a sales process that is related to a fitness coach, but selling with a very unique angle. I'll show you in just a second. But this is why, like, coming up with studying how they think, what they need, their emotional state, what they want to hear, is so detrimental to make this entire process work. And this gets you to 100K a day because you know your customer just as if it's your brother, your sister, your mother, just like a pal, right? You know everything about this person. So it's unreasonable not to come up with a sales process that resonates with them. It's all about resonation. It's not about the product. It's not about the product. Everybody thinks, hey, the product, it's the market, it's the product here, the product there. If I turn around, I can see probably 50 winning products that can resonate with the market. It's all about angles and propositions and sales process. Moving forward, what she wants. This Lisa, 52-year-old, what is it that she wants? A targeted solution that's made for women just like her. Slim, but aging, right? Something that tightens, tones, and helps restore firmness, right? Or, for example, zero BS, no pills, no gimmicks. She's very skeptical, right? Just something that actually works for her and then prove that it works for other women as well. Now, how do we come up with all, and by the way, I can go on and on and on. I know that this is maybe boring. This is just scratching the surface, but I'm not going to do a 1 hour presentation on this. It doesn't make any sense in my opinion. You get the point. How do we get all this information? We leverage some documents. One that looks something like this. Right? And so basically what we do is that we scrape all the reviews on Amazon, on our website, make sure that they're real, and we filter them by positive, negative, so-and-so, half and half, and then we pull up reports so that we understand, okay, negative comments, 24%, neutral, 15%, positive, 60%, and then we come up with products and benefits, angles, desires, pain points, motivations, beliefs based on the reviews. So it's all based on the reviews and it's very tangible. One other thing that we do, and I showed this in my previous video as well, is that we actually leverage AI and ChatGPT to give us a chart that looks something like this. So we put all the reviews and then we ask ChatGPT, hey, give us motivational expectations, buyer motivations and expectations, use cases, right? Customer sentiment, what's good, what's bad based on percentages. So all this is done with AI. Okay, we use a tool called Copilot Shulex. I always talk about this also in my last video, but just to show you briefly, super important. You go on Amazon without doing anything, you click on the extension and it gives you basically a visual report that looks something like this, where it gives you 12% were gentle on the skin. For 81%, it's effective. It's versatile for 4% or whatever that percentage is. So you get the point. It's based on data, and so you can make conclusions and actually understand. One other way is to go on Reddit, right? You go on Reddit, you click on Reddit, and you type in, I don't know, flappy arms, right? And then look how many probably comments and you can find posts that maybe go more viral, 20 comments, 22 comments, 28 comments, and some other 60 comments. You can basically go, am I wrong to be discussed by flappy upper arms? I can guarantee you can find pain points and solutions and desires within these comments, right? Click on it, right? And of course, maybe find a more recent one, right? 10 years ago, but this is just for the sake of the example, and read through all of these reviews. I can guarantee you can find golden nuggets. This is really, really important. Going back to my diagram over here, once we understand our customer, now we can actually craft angles. Okay, so based on the avatar customer that I just explained, these are just some angles that I came up with that just literally in 5 minutes, so this can also be improved. But these are just some angles. Number one, this isn't weight loss. problem, it's a firmness fix. Okay, so it's not the weight loss, it's we need to fix the firmness. Angle 2, for women who are slim but still struggling with flappy arms, here's why. Okay, where this is basically a direct customer call out. You're calling them, and this is basically the angle. We're telling them why. Angle 3, you don't need to lose weight, you need to retrain your skin and muscles. Okay, really, really important. You don't need to lose weight, you need to retrain your skin and muscles. Now, angle 4, this works when the gym this works when the gym and diets don't. Okay, you basically compare the two between the diets and the gym and the workouts, right? Or designed for women who've tried everything and are still hiding their arms. So this is basically going after a direct pain point that they're hiding in the summer with long sleeves, for example. And this solution is designed exactly for that type of woman. So for the sake of the example, I'm going to get these two angles. I'm going to bring you through a sales process that I came up with that I would personally test based on my experience, based on working with businesses that do, 7 and 8 figures, and just based on my teachings and what I've learned so far. And this is what I would do personally. So the angle in number 2, sales process. For women who are slim but still struggling with flappy arms, here's why. So what I would do for here is that, once again, the avatar, we're literally calling out the avatar customer for women who are slim that have flappy arms. So what I would do is basically leverage a sales process that has some sort of high leverage authority, right? A great idea, as I say here, can be to create a high authority ad using a doctor talking about solutions to tighten skin. Okay, this would be an example where it's basically all directed by the doctor, right? Maybe basically the doctor is selling the solution for you, addressing the problem and selling the solution for you, instead of just you as a brand owner having to do it yourself through your brand. So it's unbiased. Number 2, we redirect a doctor VSL ad. It says long form, so basically around 3 to 5 minutes is more than enough. You can actually go longer as well if you want, but these types of ads work very, very well. Let me actually just show you an example so you see it with your own eyes. So let me show you over here. This is just a company that I've also broken down in the past, but you see this is a doctor. They're leveraging authority to solve a problem.
Here's a quick way to shrink mouth wrinkles and make them vanish for good.
Mouth wrinkles are permanent and easy to fix. So let me share my best secret. A secret that can remove mouth wrinkles.
You get the point, okay? They're leveraging a doctor figure. And sometimes they also say it in the ad copy. So that is what I would do here. And then I would probably go into a doctor advertorial. These are just some angles that I would use. Harvard dermatologist reveals how 10,000 plus 50-year-old women, like Sally, right, are using this arm sculpting device to get rid of flappy arms. Or Harvard dermatologist warns, flabby arms after 50 have nothing to do with weight. Here's the real fix. And so we're addressing the fact that they know, that we know that they know that it's not about the weight and it's about something else. And or Harvard dermatologist explains, this FDA cleared device helps women 50 plus firm their arms without breaking a sweat. So it's a fast solution without having to work out, without the gym included. You get the point. And then we go into the product page where there's a direct offer. I say here, make sure that the offer, not make sure, but ideally the offer is personalized to the 50-year-old skinny Lisa or Sally, whatever her name is, with flappy skin. The offer should be around solving that problem primarily. If you have an offer that solves multiple problems, I mean, it could work, it's fine, that's what most people do, but if it's specific, right, specifically for that avatar, like this example, for example, like you see, MyoGlow arm lifting device. So they actually sell this device also for like the chin, for the butt, for the stomach, for the waists, but in this specific funnel, it's about the arm lifting device. So it's personalized to that offer. Let's go over through another example of a funnel that I would probably test. Okay, so once again, here we're not talking about winning products or necessarily even about like winning like specific things that just make the business scale. It's like all about putting these pieces together, the ad, the funnel, the offer congruently, and thinking about it all from a customer perspective, right? Not based on what your competitor is necessarily doing almost always. You can take inspiration from them, but understand why it's working. So another sales process that I would use with this kind of like angle, which is once again for women who are slim but are still struggling with flappy arms, is that I would do like a long form VSL still, but with a personal story. So a personal story of a 50-year-old Lisa who is skinny and can't lose weight anymore to get rid of flappy arms. And this should be a transformational story of how Lisa went from this to this. the before and the after state. Okay, and so this is basically, we want to show before and afters congruently throughout the entire sales process. And so this works because it's basically coming from a personal story, right? And so one way that we can leverage this is that we can actually run whitelisting ads, which is basically using the profile of like it could be like your own profile, but it's like it looks like a human profile, or you can actually partner with this Lisa or an avatar that looks like Lisa to promote through their profile, and so it looks even more authentic and unbiased. I always talk about like unbiased sales processes because they work. From the long form storytelling ad, we go to a case study, relatable story listicle, which has a headline like this: I'm 50 and my arms don't jiggle anymore. What Lisa did to dramatically or drastically reduce flappy arms in just 45 days. So we're giving it a timeline, right? So that they have an expectation on how much it takes. We're giving it a story, so it's Lisa's story, and the goal here is to make sure that there's a high level of resonation once again. And this is a quote from her: I'm 50 and my arms don't jiggle anymore. Okay, and so this is just a cool angle. And what we want to do in this kind of like relatable story is that give like also a framework on week 1, week 2, what happened, week 2, week 4, week 4, week 6, and go over relatable transformational story from Lisa once again. And then this is the same thing, same product page as I explained in the previous step. Now let's go over angle number 3, which is you don't need to lose weight or tone your muscles. Okay, so what I'm doing here is basically I'm doing something that I think is smart, worth testing. I'm basically doing a long form VSL ad still, but I'm leveraging a personal trainer. Why am I leveraging a personal trainer? Because as we went over here in our notes, if I can find it, we basically noticed that Lisa is tired of hearing something about fitness. Remember, where is it? Here it is. She feels ignored by most fitness diet ads because they're all about fat loss and like toning and stuff like that. It's all about the actual workout, which makes no sense because I'm skinny and I tone my arms and there's still a flappy under it, right? Flappy section under it. So here's the hook. Hook with trainer telling people she's trained women for 20 years and there's no workout to fix flappy arms. So we're literally showing them a trainer, and she would think that it's an ad about like, getting rid of flappy arms by joining her training program. But she's telling everybody, the Lisas, hey, I've trained for 20 years, 500 people just like you between the age of 40 and 50, be specific, and this just doesn't work. It's just there's no workout that can fix the flappy arms. So I reached out, this is what the trainer says. So I reached out to a specialized dermatologist that recommended this 5-minute at-home solution, okay? And then this is the framework, right? Personal trainer hook, how the personal trainer can hook you by saying, hey, I'm a personal trainer and I don't actually think my training can help you solve this problem. No training in the world. So it's like, okay, interesting. It takes away the sales tension, and then it goes after, it basically moves, the trainer moves away and gives the mic to a dermatologist who is basically selling through science and authority. Okay, so this is basically from here. You can also use the profile of perhaps the personal trainer if you want to make it even look like whitelisted. I think it works better to use whitelisting ads if you actually are doing like authentic UGC raw ads. If you're doing like VSLs, then I mean, it's kind of like, it's fine to do whatever. And so next is a case study relatable story listicle, which is basically, this is the angle from the personal trainer. I've trained 500 plus women and I could never fix flappy arms until one of my clients tried this. Okay, and this is the framework that I would personally use. Okay, intro and credibility. This is basically a listicle or an article that is written by a personal trainer. So like just a person that is a pro and that is giving you an honest opinion. So intro and credibility. I've trained 500 plus women over 10 years, most over 40. So you're addressing the Sally that is 40 and has, these issues. The problem, no matter how consistent they are, my clients, flappy arms wouldn't go away, especially in lean women, okay, which is the Lisa, right? The frustration, we tried every workout. It helped strength, not skin. I felt helpless. And so the trainer is opening up and saying, I felt helpless. I tried everything and it didn't help my clients. Honest realization. I realized it wasn't fat. It was collagen loss and skin laxity, or whatever that is. And I'm not a beauty expert. Okay. Discovery. One client, as I say here, showed me a red light sculpting device. Right. I was skeptical until I saw the results. Social proof. Now several of my clients are using it. Same story, firmer arms, real confidence, genuine recommendation. I'm not selling this one. This is what she said. But if you've tried everything and still hide your arms, this might be what you're missing. You're basically saying, I'm not an ambassador. I'm just trying to help people. That is with the copy. Of course, it's hard for me to explain in this 8-step framework. But overall, the idea is to have something that is super unbiased, coming from a personal trainer that failed to help people through their training, reassuring the fact that the Lisa that is 52 that tried the training before and it didn't work for her, so we are reassuring her kind of like mindset about that, and that there's another unique solution, which is the product, which is sold in an unbiased way by a personal trainer, which should sell training but doesn't, because it doesn't work. So I think this is an angle that would work. If it doesn't, at least I'm telling you the structure of how you should start thinking about your sales process, about your ads, about making this congruent. And then of course, product page, same as before. So hopefully this makes sense. It comes down to the end of the video here, but these are just some common misconceptions that I've noticed over the time. It's saturated, or the product doesn't work, or it's the market. It's not about that. Look, although there might be a slim chance that it might be one of these above, 90% of the time, as I said here, it's about the damn creative and the sales process. Okay, it's not that those are the things that are not allowing you to scale. Okay, and so this is super, super important. Before we end the video, I do have a giveaway very, very quickly. If you are testing all of these sales process, studying your customer, tracking all of these things that work, that don't work, you better have a creative sheet to put all the information in. So what I do have over here is something that I like to call a demo command center, a sheet that looks something like this, which you can get access to for free, where we track all of our creative tests. So every test that we put into the ad account, we track it over here. It also allows us to create graphical representations, just because we have so many data points that we can create graphs with. And so every single test that we put, it's like the marketing angle that we use, the main emotion, the avatar, where we sent people to, what funnel, right? All of these things are tracked so that we can make inferences for our next test. Get it? There's also a bunch of other things, storyboards, email campaigns, email flows, CRO trackers. There's a bunch of stuff. It's free. Go get it. And last but not least, if you are a brand doing at least $100,000 a month and you want to partner with us, or you want to explore the opportunity of potentially partnering with us, then book your free audit. It's completely free. We go over your company, and then if there's synergy and it makes sense and we actually pinpoint the opportunities to get you to the next level together, then we can discuss the opportunity of potentially partnering up and working together. Okay, that is it for this video. Hopefully see you on the call, and definitely see you in the next video. Bye.